Some people manipulate without you even realizing it. These aren't just tricks. They're cheat codes pulled straight from the darker side of psychology. The good news? Knowing them gives you power. Let's break down the top psychological tactics people use to influence, deceive, or control, and how to spot them before they work on you. The foot in the door technique. This tactic is all about momentum. Someone asks for something small, just a little favor. You say yes, no big deal, right? But then they follow up with a bigger ask, and you feel weird saying no now because you already agreed once. That's how the trap works. Psychologically, it hinges on our brain's need to stay consistent. If we said yes before, saying no now feels like we're contradicting ourselves. Salespeople use this all the time. Get you to sign up for a free trial, then push a full subscription. It's not inherently evil. Parents, marketers, even friends do it. But when used manipulatively, it's a slippery slope. You end up agreeing to things you wouldn't normally accept. The fix? Reset mentally with each ask. Don't let a tiny yes force you into a bigger one. Ask, would I say yes to this if it were the first thing they asked? That question alone can break the spell. Mirroring. Mirroring is subtle, silent, and powerful. It's when someone unconsciously or deliberately copies your body language, tone, or speech patterns. You cross your legs, they do too. You say totally. They start using it. It might seem like nothing, but your brain picks up on it and says, hey, this person feels familiar. That's the key. We're wired to trust people who reflect us. It feels like we're on the same wavelength. Salespeople, negotiators, and even politicians use this all the time. It builds rapport fast. But in dark psychology, mirroring can be a manipulation tool. It can make you open up, lower your guard, and bond with someone who's just trying to win your trust for their gain. That doesn't mean everyone who mirrors you has bad intentions. But if someone always seems too in sync, be alert. To protect yourself, check their actions, not just the vibe. Real trust is earned over time, not manufactured in a mirror. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is one of the most damaging dark psychology tools. It's when someone manipulates you into doubting your memory, your perception, or even your sanity. They might say, you're too sensitive, or that never happened, even when you know it did. Over time, this can make you question your own reality, making you easier to control. Gaslighters often start small, denying a comment or action, then escalate. It's commonly used in toxic relationships, abusive workplaces, or authoritarian dynamics. Why does it work? It disorients your inner compass and makes you dependent on the manipulator for your version of truth. Knowing how gaslighting works helps you spot it early. If you constantly feel confused, second-guessing yourself, or apologizing for things you didn't do, pay attention. It's not always overt. Sometimes it's wrapped in charm or fake concern. Your defense? Document facts, trust your instincts, and talk to someone outside the situation. The moment you recognize gaslighting, you take your power back. The scarcity principle. We crave what seems rare. That's the core of the scarcity principle. When something feels limited, whether it's time, access, or quantity, your brain flags it as more valuable and more important. Scarcity creates a sense of urgency that can override logical thinking. This is why phrases like limited edition, while supplies last, or exclusive access are so powerful. Your brain interprets that rarity as a cue to act fast before the opportunity disappears. It's deeply wired in us, an evolutionary response where rare resources once meant survival. The scarcity effect doesn't just increase desire, it alters perception. Something can feel more attractive or necessary just because it appears hard to get. It can influence decisions in relationships, purchases, career choices, or even how we view people's attention. The fear of missing out becomes the driving force, often bypassing critical thinking. The key is recognizing when scarcity is genuine and when it's just psychological bait, triggering your impulse to chase. Projection. Projection happens when someone attributes their own thoughts, feelings, or behaviors onto you, usually without realizing it. Instead of facing uncomfortable truths about themselves, they accuse others. A classic example, someone who cheats accuses their partner of being unfaithful, or someone who's insecure constantly points out your supposed self-doubt. It's a defense mechanism, a subconscious way to offload guilt, shame, or anxiety. But it can be damaging, especially if you internalize the blame. What makes projection so tricky is that it often comes wrapped in strong emotion. The accuser may seem passionate, even righteous, which makes you second-guess yourself. That's the trap. While you're busy defending your character, they avoid confronting their own. To handle projection, stay grounded. Ask yourself, is this truly about me or are they describing themselves? Respond with calm curiosity instead of defensiveness. Something like, that's an interesting perspective, can neutralize the emotional charge. Recognizing projection isn't about winning a fight. It's about protecting your reality and not carrying someone else's baggage. Love bombing. Love bombing is emotional overload disguised as affection. It starts with nonstop praise, constant texting, surprise gifts, and intense declarations like, I've never felt this way before, often way too soon. It feels exhilarating at first, like you've finally found the one. But this flood of attention isn't about love, it's about control. The goal is to get you emotionally attached before you've had time to think clearly or notice red flags. This tactic shows up in toxic relationships, manipulative friendships, cults, and even high-pressure sales environments. Once you're hooked, the tone shifts, the attention fades, criticism begins, and confusion sets in. You may start chasing that initial high, blaming yourself for the withdrawal. To guard against love bombing, slow things down. Take note of the pacing. Are they rushing intimacy? Do they make you feel guilty for needing space? Healthy connections build gradually and respect your boundaries. If it feels like too much, too fast, it probably is. Real love doesn't need to hypnotize you, it lets you breathe. The fear-guilt hook. The fear-guilt hook is a powerful emotional manipulation tactic that plays directly on your need to feel safe and to be seen as a good person. It works by triggering fear. If you don't help me, something terrible will happen. Or guilt. After all I've done for you, how could you say no? These emotional pressures hijack your nervous system, pushing you into compliance just to escape the discomfort. It's not a conversation, it's a trap. When used repeatedly, this hook turns relationships into control systems. You start saying yes out of anxiety, not choice. You may even feel guilty for protecting yourself. Over time, you become emotionally drained, walking on eggshells and depending on the manipulator for emotional resolution. To defend against this hook, slow down your reaction. Ask yourself, is this situation really urgent? Would I feel this way without their words? Healthy requests don't require fear or guilt to get a response. A moment of reflection can break the spell and put your agency back where it belongs, with you. Triangulation. Triangulation is a manipulation technique where one person draws a third party into a two-person conflict, turning disagreement into a power play. Instead of addressing the issue directly, they say things like, even Jane agrees with me. You're always overreacting. To reinforce their position and isolate you emotionally. Suddenly, it's not just a conversation. It's you against a team. This tactic can make you feel cornered, doubting your perception, and desperate to win back approval from both people. It's especially common in toxic relationships, controlling family dynamics or office politics where one person thrives on division. To protect yourself, recognize the strategy. Ask, why is a third person involved in a private issue? Refuse to play. Bring the conversation back to the source. Let's talk about this between us. Reaffirm your own reality. The goal of triangulation is to destabilize you. Stepping out of the triangle takes self-trust and boundaries. But once you do, the manipulator loses control, and you regain your voice. Repetition equals truth. Repetition is one of the most underestimated tools in dark psychology. It plays on a quirk in the brain called the illusory truth effect. The more you hear something, the more true it feels. This works even when the statement is false. Politicians use it with slogans. Marketers use it in taglines. Conspiracies and misinformation thrive on it. Why? Because your brain gets lazy with familiar information. Instead of evaluating accuracy, it defaults to, I've heard this before, it must be legit. Repetition bypasses logic by appealing to comfort and familiarity. Eventually, you might find yourself defending an idea not because you believe it, but because you've simply heard it so much. That's how bias gets reinforced and myths become truth. To resist it, slow down. If a statement keeps popping up, ask, do I actually know this is true, or am I just used to hearing it? Seek diverse sources, question patterns, and break the loop. Silence as power. Silence is often overlooked, but it's one of the most powerful tools in dark psychology and communication. In heated discussions or power struggles, silence creates pressure. Most people rush to fill awkward gaps with explanations, confessions, or concessions, often revealing more than they intend. When you stay quiet, you force the other person to sit with discomfort, and in that space, they often show their hand. But silence isn't just a tactic, it's a signal. It says, I'm composed. I don't react impulsively. I'm listening. This throws off manipulators who rely on emotional triggers. It also gives you time to process, observe, and choose your words wisely. The key is intention. Don't weaponize silence to punish or shut people out. Instead, use it to pause the chaos, center yourself, and create space for real connection or negotiation. A well-placed pause can shift the tone, de-escalate tension, and reset the power balance without saying a single word. Disclaimer: ethics. These tactics are neutral. They're tools. When used with empathy and consent, they enhance connection and understanding. Misused, they manipulate. Use them wisely to recognize manipulation and to choose authenticity. Understanding dark psychology isn't about learning how to control people. It's about protecting yourself, setting sharp boundaries, and choosing clarity over manipulation. You don't need to be edited by the world. You need to stay rooted in your integrity. Knowledge is power. Awareness is armor. So the next time something feels off, trust your gut. And now, your insight. If this helped you see behind the mask, hit like, share it with someone who needs it, and drop a comment. Which of these tactics have you seen in real life? Stay smart. Stay grounded. Better brain days.